Hello and welcome to this week's episode of Sealed for Good. My name is Shandy and I'll be your host for today's episode, so a big thank you to everyone for watching. In today's episode, we're going to be discussing important industry news, specifically the latest AS 3740 2021 standard for internal wet area waterproofing and the impending NCC or National Construction Code set to come into effect this year. And it marks the start of a series of episodes specifically around this topic, where we'll commence with a brief overview of the standard and then each week discussing the specific inclusions, changes, and its overall impact on those involved in construction and waterproofing, including builders, contractors, supervisors, and specifiers. So let's get down to it. Ask anyone involved in the waterproofing industry and they'll be the first to say there's always been quite a bit of confusion as to the specific requirements for internal wet area waterproofing. Conflicting local codes and standards, individual state-based regulations and overlaps, different individual interpretations, builder demands. There's always been wriggle room for speculation and difficulty understanding the actual requirements and tolerances for compliances. Now, with the impending release of the new NCC, it's more important than ever to be up to speed with the current standard. Here the government issued excerpt regarding the 2022 NCC. Building Ministers agreed to publish the NCC 2022 on 1st of October 2022. The full and final version of NCC 2022 in its entirety will be live on NCC Online from this date. The states and territories will bring the majority of the NCC 2022 into full effect from 1st of May 2023 to allow industry time to learn and adapt to the new requirements. So what does this mean? The important thing to note is that as of May 2023, through the NCC, the provisions of AS 3740 2021 officially come into effect. That's a 2-year grace period for the industry to come up to speed with the new standard. And there's a good reason, as there are some notable inclusions and changes that will have a broad-reaching implications on things like basic construction and layout, work scheduling, extra responsibilities on the waterproofer, emphasis on greater diligence in the waterproof application, greater scrutiny on the application, materials, and completed works, broader scope for waterproofing and new requirements for different areas. We'll be exploring these points in greater detail, referencing specific examples in the current standard in upcoming episodes. A clearer message. AS 3740 has always been a prominent point of reference for contractors and specifiers for compliance and continues to maintain its deemed to satisfy status under the new NCC. Clarity and coherence are vital and is an underlying theme of the new standard, attempting to overcome any confusion by reducing the scope of misunderstanding in interpretation that has plagued the industry for years. Even the layout and standard attempts to better define the demarcation of roles and responsibilities between all concerned parties, from building inception and planning to the selection and installation of the waterproofing system. From architects and specifiers, interior designers, builders and site supervisors, building inspectors and compliance certifiers, waterproofing contractors and manufacturers, everyone has their respective parts to play to ensure the compliance and overall performance of the waterproofing system. Clarity of process and specific requirements for waterproofing is particularly important for such a critical component of the construction process. Unfortunately, this is something not revered as it should be when considering the risk and ramifications for when it goes wrong. And that's the second major theme of the standard, reinforcing the checks and balances to mitigate risk, improving performance and the general stigma surrounding waterproofing, and reinforce its importance in construction. Thank you for joining us today. Stay tuned for next week's Sealed for Good episode, where we'll delve into these in more detail. Hope to have your company then.